Ford Escort tyres. Now, we're going to talk about predominantly classic Ford Escort tyres. The first Ford Escorts, the very base models of the first Ford Escorts came out with a 550/12 cross-ply tyre. And then they very soon moved on to fitting a radial alternative as well. And then the radial sort of took over on the 12-inch wheel. And they fitted a 155/12 radial tyre. Currently, not a lot out there really. We've got this Nankang. It's a modern tyre, it's not terribly pretty. You know, really, I think what I'm saying to you is that we've not really got a really good 12-inch Escort tyre available at present. So, you know, but I think predominantly we tend to fit a 13-inch tyre. So, what was the name of the game at the time was a 155/13. A lot of Escorts fitted a 155/13 as a standard equipment, and really, we've also got this Pirelli Cinturato here, which is a great tyre. Absolutely smack bang perfect. Ford moved on to fitting Escorts. At one point they said, for safety reasons, their top models were going to fit Pirelli Cinturatos. So that 155/13 Pirelli Cinturato is the bee's knees. I've put in a Nankang. Again, it's not Nankang, it's some budget model of 155/13 just to demonstrate the difference about how different these tyres look. If you look at all the sidewall, all that sort of vulgarity splashed all over the sidewall, you don't have that on a period tyre. They're far simpler and cleaner like that. And then the other really good 155/13 we've got is the Michelin XS, which is a pretty ace thing. It's got an asymmetric carcass from 1965. Handles extremely well in classic cars. So that's the 155/13 dealt with. Quite a lot of the top end cars in the Mark 1 would go outfitted with an XZX. They no longer make the 155 or 165/13 ZX, sorry. But that is the ZX tread pan. And it was a thing that Ford fitted in period, but again, it's not currently available. They're just to the XAS, but really Pirelli Cinturato is a real bargain for a high quality tyre as well. The top end models, and from 1968, you've got to remember that by now Ford were very much involved with fitting Pirelli Cinturato tyres. So they moved on to fitting 155/13s. Again, here's a budget tyre we've got for you, just as a demonstration. Not really, oh that's the 5, sorry that's the one. Throw that away. So they moved on to 165/15 with a top end car. So, you know, we've got things like this. Again, the Michelin XS. CN36 is what Ford were very fond of for their top end models from 1968 onwards. And they fitted either a 165/13 or a 175/70/13 on cars like the RS 1600 in Mexico from 1969 onwards. They were predominantly on these CN36s. So the 175/70/13, just a tinsy-wincy bit spotter. You look at the difference overall down to there. Imagine the radius being half of that. So what you see in the wheel arch is half of that. But importantly, the CN36 tyre has got that rounded shoulder. If you look at the rounded shoulder of it, if you can get the sort of, here's a modern tyre, it's a very different thing. If you look at the shape and the way that tyre performs, it's very different to this modern tyre. And that CN36 was chosen by all sorts of top manufacturers because of its sporting handling, the way it gave progressive handling, so that as the car leaned, the contact point, instead of, you know, picking up onto the shoulder, if you look at a more modern tyre like this one, for instance, okay, when the car leaned, the tyre leaned as well, and it would climb up onto the shoulder, and you would suddenly lose a large part of footprint. But with these rounded shoulders of the CN36, and the way the carcass structure was designed, as the car leaned, your contact point moved around the shoulder of the tyre instead of sudden lifting of the tyre. So a bigger factor tyre will give you sort of more ultimate grip if your car has the technology to keep that whole footprint flat on the road. And Escorts of that period didn't. And actually, really, where's the fun in that? Well, you know, you're not buying an Escort for ultimate grip. If you want ultimate grip, get something that's front wheel drive, get a more modern car. But Escort is progressive, and when it starts to break away, it tells you about it, and the car moves gracefully, and you can control that as a rear wheel drive car with the throttle pedal. So The CM36 is designed for that, and it's designed for those cars, and those cars are designed for that tyre. They work hand in hand. So we very much suggest that these are extremely high quality tyres and perfect for your cars. They are a period carcass to give you those handling characteristics of the day that suit your car, but the compounds within them are modern, because when it boils down to it, when you go driving your car, you're just grating your tyre into fine rubber dust and pumping that into the waterways to go and choke some whales. So what happens these days is they've changed the litigation about what chemicals are allowed to use when making tyres, and now the compound there is made from a greener, less ozone-angry substances, but they give you the same characteristics, but they do actually perform better in the wet as well. They're better at moving water, as well as being a bit less ozone-angry. Got a little bit far with Mark 1s there, but the Mark 2s are pretty much along the same line. Some of the base models, the 1100s, still fitted, that 15512 that I threw over there a minute ago. And also 15513s as well, and a 1757013 was an option on them. And the same thing goes for the Mexicos and the 300 Sport, 600 Sport, RS 1800, RS 2000. By then, they were all fitting this 175, 7013, CM36 as original equipment. I've looked at my books about Ford Fitment of the Day, and it seems that all Ford Escorts left the factory with tubeless wheels, and that means that because all these tyres we sell, the period tyres, are now made as a tubeless tyre as well. As you have the tubeless wheel and the tubeless tyre, you can run them tubeless. Okay, but because you've got a 70 profile tyre or taller on there, so 175-713 or 155-13, they can fit in the tubes if you needed to. So if you've got aftermarket wheels or wheels that you don't trust, or you've had a puncture, you can put a tube in if you want. We recommend Michelin's. So I think that's pretty much oh no, there's a little bit more as well. When you're looking at what tyres fit in your car, thinner is more fun. Thinner is lighter, more progressive. Fatter tyres, if you adjust the car to take advantage of them, will give you more grip, but thinner is more fun. But what you choose for your car could be determined by the rim size you've got on there. So a 155 or a 165 13 tyre got a 4.5 to a 5.5 inch rim. Can fit with a 5.5. A 175 70, 4.5 to 6.5, and a 185 70, if you choose to go bigger, will be a 5 to 6.5 inch rim. 185 70 13 was an extremely popular tyre of the day. Fitted Cortinas and Capris and things. A lot of people with Escorts over the days will have chosen to go for a bigger tyre and might find themselves a 185 70 13 instead of a 175 70 13. Again, in that size, we've got a Cintrato CM36. There's cheap stuff out there if you're prepared to sacrifice your handling for saving money, which we understand. It's all, money does count. But if you want the right thing on there and you want things to handle nice, that CM36 is the best for you. So that's rear wheel drive stuff. That's the stuff I'm really interested in. When you get into the Mark 3s, it becomes a little bit more generic. Some of the first ones came out with 145-13. Again, really make CM36, mixed to make an XAS. But by then you are getting into the realms of the front wheel drive car, and your geometry and suspension is sort of better suited to more modern carcasses. So the base models were fitting 145 and 155-13. Again, 175-713 will be a relatively reasonable option for those. Again, that CM36, because it's such a well-built tyre, will be brilliant. You won't quite benefit from the specialities of the CM36. You'll struggle to find anything better because it's not a generic common tyre, but they will still work okay on there. And then the top end ones in the Mark 3s, XR3i, XR3 and XR3i, fitted 185-60-14s. We have a Michelin Pilot Exalto PE2 sometimes that looks like that, and that's more of a tyre that's better suited to a sort of an 80s and 90s car. So you know, if you're on a 14-inch wheel, we do that in a 185/60/14, and then we also have this in a 195/50/14, 195/50/13 for the RS Turbo and the RS 2016 valve and the RS 2004 before for the late 80s, very early 90s top end cars, and that's perfect for those. It really suits them. And these grooves that go around the tyre were becoming a thing. They're becoming a way of moving water out of the way and trying to make the tyre a bit noisier. And then the other thing we've got as well for the more modern stuff is we have the original equipment tyre for the RS Cosworth as well, and that's a 225/45/16 Pirelli P700Z, which Pirelli P700Z fitted all sorts of things, some BMWs and Audi Quattros, but the RS Cosworth fitted that in a 225/45/16 tyre, so we generally have those as well. I think that's most of what I want to tell you about Ford Escort tyres. Any more information, contact longstonetires.com. We will probably put a few bits and bobs on there to demonstrate what we're trying to show throughout this film. Anyway, hope that covers all the detail. Longstonetires.com or 01302 71123.